I do have some
Yeah.
issues because of it. I have food sensitivities now because of the restriction and the abuse, and then the yo-yoing and doing whatever and all of the fads. And yeah, I do have food sensitivities now because of it, but I'm learning to like find the right supplement routines and to help me kind of get through the day, and maybe things that'll help me with those food sensitivities to not have as a severe reaction to them, because it kind of sucks not being able to eat bread.
Oh, it's, so you,
Like now that I can, and now that I'm not in that like the space, I'm like, really, now you're gonna rebel against me. Like it's a whole process. I'm not gonna lie, even being two years into recovery, I still do get moments where, I think I'm good, and then I'll go out to eat with somebody, and I won't even be in my brain panicking about it, but I'll just start having a panic attack.
sure.
Just being in the parking lot of a restaurant, and have to kind of ground myself. If I don't have him with me to do it, I do have ways to like ground myself and kind of bring myself back to reality. Thankfully, one of the times it happened, I was in Vegas with a group of models, and I had to step outside, and one of them was just an absolute sweetheart, and she came out with me and kind of sat with me until I calmed down, and she's like, "Hey, do you just want me to order you something so you don't have to look at it? Like, I understand this is hard for you." And she helped me order food, and we all just kind of sat there, and nobody really judged me for how I was eating, or how slow or how quick or whatever the case may have been. Like, they were all super sweet about the whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and for people that are just listening, when Savannah referred to him, her support dog Loki, who's a certified trained support dog, which is we were talking before we started recording, a little bit out of the norm when people think support animal, because he's a Chihuahua mix of some kind, right?
Now, this one is a straight Chihuahua. The one
Oh,
that's
okay.
sleeping in the other room is the mix. No, he's all Applehead.
Oh, yeah, he's a sweet, sweet dog.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that though, that made me wonder, eat as slow as you want or the process. So do you have to have an inner dialogue with yourself when it comes to meals, regular eating patterns? Because I've kind of gone through that too, with the self-loathing of, telling myself, well, I'm not worthy of better food, whole food, real food,
Right.
or just a meal in general. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't necessarily say I had an eating disorder, maybe as others classify, but I definitely went through periods of where I'm not worthy of this nourishment.
That still does sound in a way disordered eating. You don't have to be. First of all, I just want to preface this: you don't have to be a female to deal with it. It hits anybody, no matter what gender, no matter what age, no matter what size. You don't have to be a skeleton to be classified, because nobody starts out that way.
Yeah.
Um, at all. Like, there are people that are of different weights that have that. And you don't have to have all of the clinical symptoms to have those issues, which is where things like atypical come in. Um, but yeah, no, I do. There are times where I do have to kind of have that inner dialogue, because it's never really something that goes away. It always is in the back of your brain. You just kind of get better at telling it to, screw off. Um, I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna do what I want because I want this. Like, you can't control me anymore. And you do kind of have to have that back and forth with yourself. But especially now that I'm, back in the gym, and then I'm weightlifting, and then I'm, trying to, maintain my protein content. I I've had a friend of mine help me figure it out, how to, I don't want to say hack into an app, but they kind of jailbroke an app for me to where it doesn't show me calorie content.
Mm,
It'll just show me my protein that
mm.
I'm trying to focus on. So that way I don't get thrown into the numbers and this and that and the third, because then you can end up going back into, restricting and
Right.
all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, because then you get the calorie count and you're like, oh my God, I mean, 3,500 calories in a day. Oh my God, I'm gonna be, gain weight or whatever.
And now in the recovery, I do. I do just want to say, especially for anybody that's listening, especially if you are an adult, 1,200 calories a day is not sustainable. It is not even enough calories for a 4-year-old toddler. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
calories aren't as important as what you're doing. You don't have to, and getting into that mindset for me was hard, but you don't have to always eat clean. You don't
Mm.
have to always eat a certain thing. And I had to be really careful about that, especially, with weightlifting and stuff. They, tell you to eat cleaner,
Hmm.
all that fun stuff. But I've already had two, and I don't want to risk jumping into the whole orthorexia, because that's a whole third one of orthorexia is, you eat super, super clean and you're super obsessed with exercise. It's not so much the restriction, it's people that restrict so far down on not processed and no salts and no this and no that, that their body is breaking down, because you do need the carbs, you do need the salts. Like your body can't function without carbs.
Right.
Your brain can't function, which is why most people that deal with that, especially the anorexia side, get airheaded, have
Yeah.
memory loss, like
Yeah.
because your body can't function.
Yeah.
Your brain can't function, no matter how much we try to trick ourselves into thinking that a Monster Zero is a meal. It's not.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to that, Savannah, I mean, healthy fats, people have such misconceptions about that too. I mean, fat is a necessary part of for the body, for brain function,
Right.
and all these other things. Like, yeah, you need to get some fat in your diet, not saturated fat, learn to distinguish what they are, but yeah, it's like you need some fat.
And carbs aren't your enemy, and that was the biggest thing for me. It was about a year into recovery. I was like, okay, cool, well, I'm eating, I'm just gonna do a carb free. And during this time, my friend was sitting there, we were sitting there talking, and I was like, man, remember when I was vegan? Because I was making breakfast, I had breakfast food, I'd meat, stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, I just didn't say anything because at least you were eating something, but I knew
Right.
that was your eating disorder brain.
Sure.
He was right. He was right. I went that because it was easy to make it look like I had a lot without it actually being a lot. But I was doing the whole no carb thing. Yeah, that didn't work out so well, because I went and ran 3 miles, felt great that day. Got up the next morning, literally walked maybe the 5 steps to my bathroom, went to, tried to go to the bathroom in the morning, and then woke up in between the wall and the toilet.
Oh my
Somehow
gosh.
I I blacked out because I didn't have carbs in my system, and I went and did this high intensity cardio workout the day before, and my body just couldn't function, and I was like, oh, okay, so I need carbs. Um
Oh, I'm just glad you didn't fall and like hit your head or something serious or
I went this way instead of this way, which was good, because this way I would have hit my head on the bathtub, but I don't know how I folded, because that wasn't, yeah, it was interesting. And then I literally texted my buddy. I'm like, hey, can you go get me orange juice and bread from the store? I think I need carbs.
This is the Knockin' Doors Down podcast, featuring celebrities, experts, and everyday people who have overcome adversities, including addiction, mental health, and trauma, to live purposeful lives. And that's what Knockin' Doors Down is all about.